Welcome to Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we speak to the Minister of Education, Youth and Information, the Honorable Ruel Reid. There are several areas that we want to speak to the Minister about, more particularly his relationship with the Heart Trust, the importance of the work of the Heart Trust, and how the work of the Heart Trust falls within the mandate of the ministry. How much emphasis is the ministry placing on technical and vocational education, or is this just a kind of a Cinderella in the education system?
No. A good point you're making. We are now immersing, TVET right into the education system from as we're trying to even drill down to primary, but certainly at the secondary already, broadening the curriculum in all high schools. All high schools now have to do technical education. And by the way, CXC is going to be moving to have as part of their SBA component the CVQ. So even at that level, we are fully integrated. Already levels 1 and 2 are done in the high school system. And so we want to signal that in the emerging international workforce, that technical education is most significant and highly sought after. At least 80% of all jobs require technical skills and training. And this is why I'm saying that when we have to move from the traditional grammar type of education, it has to be more customized and technically driven, where skills become premium, because all the new areas of job opportunity require high levels of skills and training. And that is why we have to work very clearly and closely with Heart in this regard. In fact, I tell you, we are also working on the National Qualifications Framework, and what that will do is clarify to the workforce and the citizens that there is an equal and comparability between the traditional education system and the technical. So you could very well pursue a technical track separate from the traditional, but the equivalency can be established. So we will be rolling that out very soon. We're already working with the Jamaica Territory Education Commission on that particular initiative. In fact, what I'd love to see soon is a whole licensure system where a number of jobs require you to have certification and a license. So you're a licensed technician, you're a licensed plumber, you're a licensed mechanic for you to practice. And Heart certainly would be required to certify you for you to get that license. For example, the Canadian Red Seals and a number of other countries, that's how they operate. You have to be trained and certified, get a license for you to operate. So this is the kind of thing that we'd want. In fact, that would help our own country in terms of attracting investment.
And there are a number of persons who might not have passed through formal institutions, but who, because of their years of experience, have expertise in particular areas and can be certified by Heart.
Well, yeah, that is an area that we've been looking at. We talk about the mature entry level.
Yes, right.
And we also find that even the later years, you can still train a person in terms of the numeracy and the literacy, because it's amazing after you have had that kind of experience. Yes. As you say, you can literally validate their competencies. So that is part of the whole workforce training and certification that Heart is doing.
Absolutely right. Going back to the matter of partnerships, through Heart, just briefly, Minister, I know there is also a program with the Ministry of Health to train cadre of community health workers.
Right.
There's also a partnership in the food and beverage industry with Red Stripe, for example, to increase food and beverage workers. Those types of particular types of partnerships, if you would speak to that. The importance of those.
Well, it's very important, and these are our key stakeholders who we're working with for particular niche and needs within the society. You mentioned health, for example. Of course, we're fighting
Yes.
the dreaded Zika.
Yes.
And the heart has been able to respond very positively to this national need. And we're going to be providing, along with the Ministry of Health, training for persons to be able to serve as liaison, going into communities and educating the nation about best practices and getting rid of mosquito breeding site and so on. So we're going to be working on that in partnership with the Ministry of Health. You mentioned Red Stripe, also another area that we'll be working in terms of training bartenders and so on. So there are several partnerships that we are developing. The Ministry of Education with the CAP program. There are some what I call security corps that will be part of the CAP program that will be trained in conjunction with HEART that we'll be able to put back into schools, as well as they'll serve the other private sector enterprises. So these are several components. You heard recently about the NEO, that was launched with the IDB support, the youth program with the PSOJ. HEART is also part of that partnership where we're trying to reach 10,000 unattached youth in terms of their program. So HEART is known for partnership.
Yes.
I think recently they got a national award for the partnership with the private sector.
We're speaking to the Minister of Education, Youth and Information, the Honorable Ruel Reid. We take our first break on Issues and Answers.
No, son. A verb is an action word.
Parents need to become more involved in their children's education.
Parents are the first and in many cases the most important teachers.
Read with your children. Review their schoolwork. Visit their school.
Tapping and rapping and slapping, I said.
Nice. High five. Woo!
A good education will never decay.
Minister of Education, Youth and Information, the Honorable Ruel Reid, is our guest. The private sector has a critical role, Minister. HEART trains people, but the private sector needs to utilize the resources of these trained persons.
Yes.
What would be your own encouragement to the private sector in terms of working with HEART, private companies, in terms of collaborating more with HEART so that those who are trained will find positions in industry and in commerce?
Well, the existence of HEART is a tremendous blessing. There are very few countries who have an institution like this. So when you look at, you mentioned private companies, can you imagine you have government, yes, they're contributing their 3%, but having contributed that already, they don't have to now create another budget to train their workers. So through HEART, they already have a ready mechanism to train and certify workers. And not only just train and certify, but continuous professional development. So as you change out and have new systems, because companies are always going to be reorganizing, they're going to strategically improve their systems and so on. That is also where HEART comes in. So every time you have new systems, new processes, you call in HEART and they come in and train. So they're there to offer continuous professional development. And if you're a new company, you certainly want to look for hard trained and certified workers to hire as part of your complement of workers. So I would say to the private sector, Hard Trust NTA is your partner for life. Hard Trust is there for you. It is providing the key resource, the human resource that you need for the success of your company. We are training and certifying persons to international standard. Now, you don't want it better, because after all the technology you have, you also need quality and competent human resource. And that is where the Hard Trust NTA becomes your partner for life.
And there have been so many persons who have gone on apprenticeship programs in private companies.
Yes.
which those companies themselves have kept because of
Yes.
the quality
Absolutely,
of these persons.
Absolutely. So this is a very good relationship to develop.
Minister, finally, I want to go back to CAP,
Yes.
the whole philosophy behind CAP. Why is the CAP program so important? And explain to us the rationale of this CAP program.
The philosophy and rationale for this CAP program is really trying to reform the education system, and we're trying to achieve a number of things by this particular initiative. We speak about the traditional grammar type colonial education system that did not provide education for all. In fact, there's a time when grade 9 was the terminal grade for students. They were out of school. For years, we wrestled with trying to find places for students beyond grade 9, which created, by the way, a whole reservoir of unattached youth that we see the kind of social problem that we have encountered. Yes. So in 2007, when the current administration was in power, current Prime Minister, was then Minister of Education, had been speaking about the issue of unattached youth for a long time. And we worked with him to develop this particular program to ensure that we would capture the unattached youth. Because when we look at the data at the time, a very small percentage of the student population at grade 11 were passing, even 2 CXC subjects. Mm-hmm. And they were lost. They were now becoming part of the unattached group. So part of CAP was to give them an opportunity to continue their education, to drill down and find out what are some of their weaknesses and trying to correct those weaknesses, and then empower them and give them opportunity for certification. In fact, it ties in very much with our philosophy that not all children progress at the same rate. Yes. And students also have different interests and learning styles and so on. So the CAP program is capping and providing a solution to all of this, because outside of CAP, these kids would have been exiting the formal education system, and it is always very difficult when they exit at that particular time to get them back into the system. So a lot of the social problem we have had in Jamaica with gangs and the issues with youth, we are now going to try and deal with this particular problem through CAP. And by the way, with the youth portfolio, we are not only going to just leave them at age 18. They can continue with us until age 29, because even the CAP program, we are taking them from whatever level they are to the highest level, which would also include program that will be on par with a master's degree. With a master's? Yes. Or you can transition out of CAP into the traditional university program. That's what it is. In fact, it's such a comprehensive. It is very comprehensive, and it's understanding people, understanding young people, how we learn. Because what we have found, and by the way, Jamaica is not unique in this regard, because I've been traveling the world and understanding that they're having the same problem. Latin America, everybody have the same problem, even across the Caribbean. CXC will tell you their data. That is only 24% of students in the Caribbean who really pass the CXC exam, right? And so, and part of it is understanding development, because most children actually begin to peak around age 18. So it's only the very bright kids really do very well at 16, particularly our boys. I mean, 1 in 42 of our boys, for example, are autistic, right? So we cannot have an education system that truncates and prevents persons very early in terms of their education system. So the CAP program is a very comprehensive program that seeks to, as I spoke about earlier, in terms of career development and empowerment of our youth, giving all our youth an equal opportunity for self-actualization and maximizing their potential.
Minister, thanks very much for your...
It has been a pleasure,
for your time. Minister of Education, Youth and Information, the Honorable Ruel Reid, spending time with us on Issues and Answers. Next week, I'll be back. Until then, Ian Boyne wishing you a pleasant day.